Hello all and welcome to a video response video, and this is my VR to David Retro Games Played Badly's video on 10 games that you discovered whilst collecting. So let's dive straight into this and talk about the two that you're seeing here right now on screen. Yes, Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2. Now this is a case of not discovering them through collecting, but discovering how good they are through collecting. And that is because back when Dead Space was a thing, I mean it's a big franchise, everybody knows about Dead Space. Yes, big franchise. So back when these were around and these were getting all the hype and people were playing them, obviously I was still into and playing my Gears, playing all my fighting games, so they kind of just passed me by in those days. But because I became a collector who then wanted to go for the full Xbox 360 set, these turned up once upon a time in a game last generation sale for 99p each and led me to buying all three of them. You can still pick these up quite cheap nowadays. I think they go for around about 150 in CX, and they have been cheaper in the past. They may be cheaper in the future. But anyway, yes, it led to me finally buying these two games, and I've played through all three. Obviously, the third one isn't there. We'll get to that in a second. But it led to me playing all three and just discovering how bloody brilliant they really are. They are absolutely amazing. First one is exceptional. The second one is possibly slightly better if you ask me. Now, again, survival horror in space. Fantastic game, fantastic gameplay. Everything about them is just done well and done right. The only thing that I would give the first one the edge over the second one on is just the atmospherics of the game. Is absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend that you play these with a headset and have the game audio on in your headset, because all those little noises that you hear when things are quiet are just amplified with the headset, and they really add to the game experience. But great game, the first one. Slightly better game, the second one, but atmospherics in the first one, absolutely amazing. And if I hadn't been a collector who decided to go for the full Xbox 360 set, there's a good chance that I may not have actually experienced these and, of course, not discovered them. So those are my first two picks of my 10 games that I discovered whilst collecting. But as I say, it's more discovering how good they are, these two. Anyway, on to my third choice. And my third choice is a Need for Speed game. And I'm going to pick Need for Speed The Run. Now, the reason why I'm picking this is because when people talk about what games on the Xbox 360 are good within the Need for Speed franchise, or what is the best one, generally people will either say Hot Pursuit probably out-edges the votes, or the original Need for Speed Most Wanted, which was the 2005 one, because they also did a 2012 Need for Speed Most Wanted as well. But because I was a collector, obviously I was picking up all the Need for Speed games. And this is one that I got in a charity shop once upon a time. Again, I think I only paid 99p for it. Now, I played other Need for Speeds on the 360. I played Pro Street, which I didn't quite enjoy, to be honest with you. To me, it was kind of trying to be Forza Motorsport without really delivering. I've also played Need for Speed Undercover, which had a good premise, but was a great game. Was it a great game? It was okay. It was a decent game. It was a decent entry to the franchise. But when I played Need for Speed The Run, if you can ignore the QTEs, there are a couple of QTE sections in between racing sections, which really nearly let this game down. And I say nearly because the racing sections really pull this game through. If you could just get past those QTE sections, just a little bit of muscle memory. They're not too difficult. They're just a little bit annoying. They kind of just transition you from one stage to another. But anyway, ignore those. Delve into the racing sections and you will find an absolutely fun Need for Speed game that is actually really, really good. In those sections, you basically, in the game, you are tasked from racing from one side of America to the other. You are in 150th position, I think, when you start, or maybe even further back, 200, can't quite remember. But each stage, you're tasked with different environments and stuff, and different opponents, and the stage will be like, please overtake 10 opponents in this section to progress, and things like that. You can drive along and into garages and change your car along the way, so you can get better cars as you get further in. Sometimes the section will only be 5, sometimes it'll be a head-to-head, but the QTE sections nearly let it down. I say nearly let it down, but the racing sections are that good that they don't. They're just a little bit annoying. It's the only bugbear with this game, and possibly the only reason why it doesn't get compared to the others as possibly being the best Need for Speed on the 360. It's between one of those other two, quite rightfully so if you ask me. But this is still a fantastic entry into the franchise, which I thoroughly enjoyed playing from start to finish. Just ignore the QTEs. I will say that one more time. Okay, next up is actually 3 games in one, but this is an example of finding sort of compilations through collecting that you don't realise exist. Now, I've played all 3 of these, so I'm not picking the games as such. I'm picking the compilation. You've got Tekken Tag Tournament 2 in there, Tekken 6 and Soul Calibur 5. 3 absolutely stellar fighting games on the 360. Each one of them is absolutely amazing. But what I discovered, obviously, through collecting and searching for games is this popped up, and I just didn't know a compilation like this existed. So if you didn't own any of these games, you could buy them all in one box. And also, when I'm collecting, I count compilations actually as a separate game as such, because obviously the artwork is that much different. But to have these 3 stellar fighting games, let's say, in one box, they're all amazing. And I picked this up off eBay as part of a bulk lot. I bought about 4 or 5 games, can't remember how many exactly, and it was like £8 delivered. So I paid what was essentially less than £2 for this as well. Absolutely fantastic. And we've got Ezio from Assassin's Creed in this one as well. Just honestly brilliant that things like this exist, and so I'm discovering them through collecting as well. It's not the only compilation I've found as well. There's like an Ultimate Action bundle and an Ultimate Stealth bundle, which is also 3 games in one, things like that. So finding compilations that are amazing through collecting as well. And this is just a fine example of it, and I'm really pleased to have this sort of piece within my collection. Okay, next up, there are more games than 360 games in this, but I have got 2 more, and I should really bring them in at the same time because they're very similar. First one is Eikai Katana, and the second one is Death Smiles Deluxe Edition. Now, this goes back to going to gaming markets when I first started getting into collecting and deciding I was going to go for the full 360 set. And when I was at the gaming market, I started to look for things that I didn't really know about, things that caught my eye as perhaps a little bit more obscure to the mainline sort of big franchises that you find in the shops and such like that. So I was delving amongst all the stalls, and the first time I went to a London gaming market, I came across Eikai Katana. And now this is a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up, or shmup if you want to call it that, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely colourful, beautiful, and so much fun. It's a little bit bullet hell, as you can see by the picture. Look at that top one there, all those blue bullets firing at you. But it's absolutely brilliant. So much fun. It is so much fun. As I say, I bought it from the London gaming market, and it is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And as I say, if you like your shmups as well, then you can't go wrong with Death Smiles Deluxe Edition. Very similar in the style of play, and I wouldn't be surprised. I think they might be, are they made by the same developer? Yeah, look, they've got the red star there in the bottom right hand corner. But just another fantastic shooter as well, just absolutely brilliant. In the same sort of style, and just as addictive gameplay too. Absolutely adored this. I am very much on the look for Dodonpachi Resurrection, which is also another shooter. But as I say, when I got into collecting and going for the full 360 set, these were a couple of the discoveries that I found very early on, and they are both stellar shooting games. I can highly recommend both of these. Gamer score wise, by the way, you can get a good 600 to 650 out of both of these quite easily. The remaining game score in both of these is rock solid, rock hard to do. If you have 1000 G on either of these games, I'm assuming Dodonpachi Resurrection, this applies to it as well, then trust me, you have my respect, because you have to basically finish the game without dying with all of the characters available for separate achievements. Seriously, tough achievement list for the completion, but a nice chunk that's easy too by just playing a lot, and you'll enjoy playing it a lot too, so they're not even a grind. Okay, so that's all the 360 stuff covered. So we've done, what, 6 games with the 360, and all the other games are for all different systems. And first up, I'm going to bring in a Street Fighter game. Of course I've heard of Street Fighter 2. But when I saw this in CX, I actually genuinely thought this was just another Street Fighter game, and I collect the beat-em-ups on the PS2 as a sort of little bit of a subset. So any beat-em-ups on the PS2 I will collect. So when I saw this and it was a Street Fighter game I didn't have, I thought I'd buy it. And I thought it was just Hyper Street Fighter 2, and it says Anniversary Edition there. I didn't actually register that at the time. I didn't realise what that actually meant. But if you look top right there, there's a little Street Fighter Anniversary logo there, 15th Anniversary Edition. And this is a nice little piece. As I say, I didn't realise what it was. Basically, when you go into the character select screen, before you go into the character select screen, you have to pick between 5 Street Fighter games as such. You have to pick between the normal, which is the original World Warrior, Champion Edition, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Super Street Fighter 2, and then Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And then when you pick which one it is, you then go to the character select screen. The character select screen is from Super Street Fighter 2. So all 16 characters there, up to DJ, T-Hawk, Fei Long, and Cammy and all that long. But let's just say you were to pick the normal one before you went to the character select screen. You can only physically pick the 8 characters from the normal game, and then when you start the game, all the sprites, sounds, and moves, because the moves did vary slightly across the games, are from the one that you picked. But you will fight the entire roster in the stages and sprites of Super Street Fighter 2. So depending on what you pick is what sort of character version of that character you get. So like if you were to pick then Champion Edition, you could pick from the 4 bosses as well, so you could be up to 12 characters. But to be all 16, you'd have to then enter Super Street Fighter 2 or Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo mode to be able to be the other 4 characters as well. And of course, little things like that, like for example, if you were to pick Chun-Li from the normal one, from the World Warrior, then you wouldn't have the fireball which you had in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And all the sounds and all the noises of the character you pick are from whatever Street Fighter you pick. And it's just a fantastic little sort of quirk to this compilation. And even when the intro scene is loading up, and it's this Ryu one from Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, the images of the logos from the World Warrior Champion Edition kind of flash up quickly as it's being introed in. And to be honest with you, if I hadn't been into collecting, I probably wouldn't be looking for PlayStation 2 beat-em-ups, and I probably wouldn't have found this little variation of what is a franchise that I absolutely have adored and is my favourite franchise and game of all time, is Street Fighter 2. So yeah, I discovered it basically through that. Now we're getting a little bit older, we're entering 16-bit era, and something that I have played very recently and something I picked up at the last London gaming market I went to, and that is Toy Story on the Sega Mega Drive. Yes, I actually didn't set out to buy any games from the Mega Drive at that London gaming market, but I saw this, I was with a friend, he said that it was a good game, it was a good price and I should treat myself. And now that I have a Retron 5 in my collection, which I bought from the same London gaming market, it's opened up a library to me of, like, my old Mega Drives. I've still got them, but I've nowhere connected them. It's opened up the fact that I can play the Mega Drives. It's opened the fact that I can play Nintendo stuff as well. And we'll get onto that in a minute as well. But anyway, so I obviously bought Toy Story at the London gaming market and have means to play it and have played. I've done a Never Have I Ever on this as well. And it's like, it's a side-scrolling platformer with absolutely fantastic sort of 3D graphics, so 2.5D if you will. And it is so true to the movie. From what I've played so far, it's so true to the movie. It's so fun as well. It's easy to pick up and play. There's an extra sketch in the top left-hand corner which tells you where to go and what you need to look for should you get a little bit lost as well. But so true to the film. The character representations are brilliant. As you see down here, 32 meg. Honestly, the graphics are brilliant. The music is brilliant as well. And I had a lot of fun with this. And there's 19 levels in it. And for every 4th level you get to, so if you complete 4 levels, you'll get a password. So you don't have to start right from the beginning if you then die from there onwards. And it's just a fantastic side-scrolling platform. I really, really enjoyed playing this. So yes, if I hadn't been collecting, I wouldn't have gone back to perhaps buying Mega Drive games. And I wouldn't have discovered this. And it's an absolute gem. Big fan of the Toy Story franchise as well, so win-win for me. Okay, next up is another one that I played very recently, and that is a Game Boy Color game / Game Boy game. We'll work in the Game Boy, but obviously the Game Boy Color will bring the nice colours out in it. And by nice colours, I mean it is beautiful to look at. Very vibrant, and the graphics for the Game Boy Color are brilliant. Yes, Looney Tunes is what I'm picking here. And when I first started it, I was wondering if you were just going to be one character, and you'd stay as that character, but every time you complete a level, you do change to another character. You start off as Daffy Duck, you do a 2D side-scrolling platformer section, and then you get a bonus game involving Daffy Duck, and this trend continues. Every character you then be, you then get a bonus game involving that character afterwards. And the depth of levels is deep, it is fantastic. The variation in the game is brilliant as well, because after you've been Daffy Duck, you then become Tweety Pie and you can fly through the levels, land on the ground, you escape Sylvester, you have his bonus game afterwards, and then you go into a Porky Pig sort of side-scrolling shooter section. I mean, immense variation as well in this game. It is so much fun too, it really is. And if you lose all your lives, you can then continue from where you've actually died by just simply pressing continue. So if you want to play it in one run, obviously if you turn it off you're going to lose your progress, but if you want to play it all in one run, you can just persist and go on. But you get to be loads of different Looney Tune characters. As I say, graphics for the Game of Color are brilliant. The music in it is so uplifting and vibrant to listen to. It's just a thoroughly enjoyable experience. And this is, for me, I was going to say, the Nintendo library's been opened up to me by owning a Retron 5, and I've really hit the Game Boy Color with a bang in finding this and buying this. Highly recommend this one. As I say, great little side-scrolling platformer with little shooting up elements as well. And so, you were Tasmania as well, and you had to collect these meats. Honestly, variation of bundle. Honestly, do you know, I might play this again after signing off from this video. And then finally, a game I literally played just yesterday, and I knew I would enjoy it. So again, like I said, Retron 5 has opened up the NES library to me, and it's led to me buying Isolated Warrior and giving this a bash. Basically, I was watching a YouTube video from a friend of mine, and he had clips of NES games in it, and I saw amongst those clips of NES games, obviously there were Mario games and a lot of your very well-known titles, and then I saw a clip from this Isolated Warrior, and I thought that looks a lot of fun. You are basically this chap here who's wearing this all purple number here, and it is a sort of isometric run and gun automatic scrolling shooter. Yeah, that's a lot to say. And when I saw it, I thought that looks like a lot of fun to play, and I played it, say, only just yesterday. I've done a never have I ever on it, and it is absolutely fantastic. What a lot of fun this is. You can literally, it's just one of those games that you can have a short blast with as well, just pick up and play and go on from there. I noticed there was a password select screen, so for X amount of levels you managed to complete, whatever it is, 1, maybe 2, I don't know. I must admit, I didn't finish the first level in that video, but I'm having a bit of practice now, so I'm confident I can get quite far in it now. But anyway, there's a password screen as well, so you can enter passwords and pick up from where you left off if you get so far, so you don't have to repeat the game. The audio, the music in it was brilliant as well, thoroughly enjoyable. Just a good sort of run and gun isometric shooter. There's not many that sort of fit that category, certainly if you add the automatic scrolling element to it. And the automatic scrolling doesn't kill you, it just pushes you along. So that isn't an annoyance to the game. So yes, I really enjoyed this game, and it is now my 10th and final pick of what has been a fantastic question asked by David. One that I've really enjoyed reliving some of these games again, which were from quite a while ago, and some that were from quite recently. But yes, just fantastic, some of these games, and a lot of these, in fact all of these, I can highly recommend just because I've enjoyed them so much. There's just 3 fine examples I brought back into view as I wrap this video up. So yes, it is indeed time to wrap this video up. Just thank Dave for asking this question. I will put a link in the description to David's channel and his original video, so please do check out his content. Check out his original video. So many other people have done this, so please do check out all those videos as well. And I think that just leaves me to say finally, thank you very much for watching. And as always, do take care.